In an interview with ANN, Kawamori Shoji, well-known mecha designer and the director of Earth Maiden Arjuna, had expressed and quote, "The environmental aspects of Arjuna aren't the main aspect of the story, rather they are just a motif. Yet from the vibe I got from watching the show, the theme of environmentalism speaks louder than the amount the director gave it credit for. Perhaps this means that even if this particular theme was not prioritized, it is still being presented in such volume that some viewers will be drawn by it more than the other elements the show has to offer. Or because this particular aspect just so happened to resonate with me in such an unexpected way due to the headspace it has led me into. The feeling of complacency in the modern way of life, only to be suddenly reminded how drastically it has changed from my own cherished childhood that I have spent further away from busy cities, surrounded by more nature. The surge certainly hits a little too hard thanks to this show. And that is why I enjoy making these videos, trying to extract what I get out of the most from my experience and share that perspective. Everyone sees things a little differently after all, and it is also exciting to discover what others have seen and felt that I have missed. A huge part of what made this show enjoyable for me is the central spotlight placed on the couple of the story, and how intricately well they play off each other under said motif. Ariyoshi Juna, a regular high school girl, and her boyfriend hint counterpart, Ooshima Tokio. On their way to strengthen their relationship, the couple was met with an accident on the road, and Juna's life has been taken away, only to be revived by a mysterious boy named Chris. The trade-off, however, is what we, the audience, will be experiencing along with her throughout the entire course of the show. Juna has been granted spiritual powers to fend off Raja, the embodiment of our mistreatment to Mother Earth. A newfound ability and a path to be the heroine of life itself has been laid in front of her. But soon we found out that it is not a welcomed one for Juna herself. And it is from this turning point onwards, her relationship with her partner gets more interesting in correlation with the theme, as both characters grow towards the direction opposite of each other, yet bound together ever stronger as they go. A bond that keeps on deliver as the story progresses. So let's start off with our heroine. Juna's character arc holds a lot of weight in portraying why we, as human race, are reluctant on taking the necessary steps to address all the environmental problems threatening our world, caused directly by our kind. A city-grown, run-of-the-mill high school girl whose life was suddenly imposed as the savior of the world. Not just that, but even her entire psyche has been attuned with the earth itself, changing her way of life so drastically that there's no way to be negligent about the harm done to the planet anymore, as they are also hurting her directly. What her power represents, how she gains access to it, and how she uses it are all worthy to be observed. In order to exert the power of the Avatar of Time, Juna has to sympathize with Earth itself, acknowledge the harm human has done to our own homeland, and she would gain the power to neutralize the crisis she faces. She uses the power primarily to eliminate Raja, in which then prompting Chris to keep questioning her. This is also important, and I would like you to leave a mental note on this one. Her motivation, the need to protect and save those she most care, is the trigger to her awakening. The underlining of that motivation is to do the same to Earth as it does to us humans. But after being entrusted the role of the savior, Juna spent about a whole show really struggling from coming to terms with this power that she accepts involuntarily, let alone embraces it fully. The stress on her mind coming from the connection with the world desperately calls for a change, yet she's not mentally prepared to go full Arjuna on her own volition. In turn, it was hell on earth to her, as her body refuses what her soul really wants. The show really takes the leisure to illustrate just how brutal this mental challenge is for Juna. But why is it that she was not able or willing to fully convert into a lifestyle most suitable for the change? a change that allows her to achieve greater good, save lives, protect her beloved, and the very essence of life. That is the humanity in her, weighing her in place. As if a scale has appeared inside her mind after that changing point. Everything she experienced regarding to the well-being of the planet indeed resonated with her emotionally, and the changes have blatantly flipped the way she lives and her perspective of the world. Even so, it remains an impasse within her. She realizes the importance of saving the world, yet she couldn't fully accept a lifestyle she didn't ask for. This setup may seem like a case of your usual anime protagonist unable to unlock their full potential due to mental blocks, or even a convenient excuse written for the plot to have a huge payoff later in the story. But I do wonder, with the specific context of this show, is that really the only direction they are pointing at? Isn't she just a mirror reflecting us, a statement of some sort? After all, even though her power is far more capable of just saving a few lives, she could only transform when the situation is of most concerning to her, when those she truly cares about are in danger. While she can sympathize with the planet, it is hard to do the same for those who have perpetually causing damage to the world. After all, the Earth has come to this state due to the negligence of the entire population before her time. So why should Juna, a normal high school girl who has only lived 15 years of her innocent life, who hasn't had the chance to step into society and gain the necessary powers to make actual changes, suddenly has to carry all the weight accumulated throughout the past generations, all the while hurting herself both mental and physically for the sake of the scumbags who had never gave Earth a second thought? Global warming has been a problem that has made known into the public consciousness for the past few decades. Yet when its consequences are not directly threatening us right under our nose, most of us, like to hear it or not, are honestly not that concerned with it, and will not take the necessary steps by and large to change the tide for the better. Selfish, ignorance, take what you will. It is just harder for societies to care when their collective minds are aiming towards certain directions, using whatever means possible, even if they are directly worsening the global beast. This is when Tokio takes up the stage, and why he matters. What makes me think that Juna's character growth stunt is not playing straight into the typical hero's trope is Tokio's crucial role in this narrative. A boy born with a silver spoon, Tokio's complication with his parents will hold greater significance later in the show. But as Juna's partner, his initial characterization is also a normal youngin who hasn't got a care for the world, living his normal high school life, having a girlfriend he's comfortable in love with at that. Essentially putting the two on equal grounds in terms of personal outlook and mentality at the beginning of the show. But the two would later see a clear deviation from one another, and that's where things get interesting. In episode 4, our couple met an old man who has been living a complete self-sustaining life at the outskirts of the town together with nature alone. When he teaches the couple to live the way of his, he explains how the cycle of ecosystem is completely self-reliant on its own, and how naturally habitable as is, without any overtaking from human disturbances. Telling them the modern lives humans condition themselves into has caused too much false influence into numbing their innate senses from distinguishing the truth among the fabrications they created for themselves, giving our couple the revelation. This is easily the coolest part of the entire show, where the message is laid bare front and center for the viewers, and also the starting point for the couple to question their ways of life seriously without further avoiding the elephant in the room. But what's a great payoff without a conflict? The couple actually grows apart after the encounter, even though they both acknowledge the beauty of nature and the importance of preservation. The thick wall that is Juna's optimistic outlook regarding to the health of the Earth has seen a crack. As she realizes the direness of the situation, she finally begins growing towards accepting her role, but the difficulties remain. While his girlfriend is contemplating and stuck in this transition, Tokio, on the other hand, could not understand the necessity of the change and found it problematic. A self-reliant life devoid from technology and conveniency is not intimidating in his mind, but rather unnecessary, and he is not entirely wrong. You see, civilization has gone through so much to reach the current state, and throughout the journey we have only advanced onwards, progress if you may. From livestock and agriculture, infrastructure and technology, all revolves around sustaining our lives better than what we intrinsically needed. One could argue the humanity in which the methods we chose to pursue advancements in these areas, but nonetheless, as a collective, we strive to become better than before. It is this outlook Tokio holds that creates the wonderful split between the couple. Tokio is the past that Juna could not shake off. He is the shadow slowly casted away by Juna after she receives her power and the wise words from the old man. They have sealed her new outlook, but a shadow never leaves you. Tokio is the embodiment of total acceptance of our current way of life. The accident that forcefully changed Juna had only affected Juna herself, but has left Tokio completely out of the equation. Yet without Tokio, Juna would not even have the urge to save in the first place. Episode by episode, we see her willingly takes the initiative when Tokio is in danger. Talk about how we would only act when the problems are directly affecting us. Tokio, a boy she had more in common with before the psyche shift, who has grown further away because of the clash of ideals, is the very driving force for Juna to save the world. It isn't a coincidence that the experimental bacteria developed by Tokio's uncaring father's company would serve as the final push over the tipping point into Earth's destruction. When the very source that fills his life brought upon the end, and at the verge of losing his most precious companion, he finally understands. Juna as a character mirrored us, as any individual in this world. The power Juna acquires is the power to change, that very power we have already possessed, big or small, as we speak. And Tokio, he represents what we have settled upon, what we have accepted and embraced as norms. But the show did not antagonize Tokio's outlook as the main problem to the entire downfall of the Earth. The fact that he is born rich and spoiled materialistically but shows no signs of an ego-filled brat serves as one of many subtle hints that the show isn't picking sides. Criticizing the current state of modern lives and reap what you sow are not the true messages that accompany with the end of Tokio's character development, but rather it illustrates that both sides should come together for the better cause. People from both camps have different values in terms of what the environment means to them, but that doesn't mean they cannot coexist. On one side, we might have people who refuse the hindering of human advancement, and the other advocates to turn back and live more modestly. Though ideally, both philosophies can merge and strive together for a win-win approach. In a smaller scale, one could definitely take small steps to contribute towards the cause, and in a larger scale, technology can be used to mend or even reverse the damage we have caused. The better solution is not compromising and stepping backwards, but to change how we move onwards. Remember how Chris kept asking Juna why resort to killing whenever she engages in battle? Because he wanted Juna to understand the root cause of the problem and not just rejects what she believes are harmful. We don't have to pack up and live in the forest again. We could, however, reduce the usage of harmful plastics very easily. Mindfully relocate resources towards finding a better future both for us and the planet, instead of feeding into the industrial needs for short-term benefits and so on. And infusing these messages into our young couple here is why I adore the show as what it is. Tokio especially stands out, and perhaps the most crucial trait of this character is his undying love for Juna. Throughout the show, Tokio actively tries to understand Juna, despite unable to comprehend her changes entirely. His character shows tremendous, immovable love and the willingness to empathize with Juna, actively reaching out to her despite multiple impediments rising between their ways. Instead of drifting away just because they are different, his persistence, bound by love, binds them together ever stronger. And the result? Mutual love requited and bear fruit to a future, even if their ideals were apart. If this is not the calling card for a harmonious work together to face a common adversary for a better future, I don't know what is. No matter how I see it, the environmentalism aspects of Arjuna were presented very pronouncedly, enough to be the main spotlight that delivers the best of what the show could offer. It is a statement about the importance of it, told in the perspective of a couple who hasn't realized the significance of the matter in discussed until the very last moment. Yet only in their ignorant standpoint at the beginning, we see ourselves even clearer. In their resolutions, we know what we should do. It is a call for action, but not an aggressive propaganda. Not much more than a commentary on the subject, but presenting it as a reminder or yet another insignificant warning. Perhaps it is hard for you to swallow a show that nudges on these subjects, but even if you are as sensitive as to hearing a plea about stop eating beef will give you distaste, I will not falter my honest recommendation because it is a good show and it is not intrusive. The materials chosen to explore the theme here do not shy away from varieties either. If they just scrape from the surface level, the show wouldn't be as entertaining as it is. From an episode where mathematics was slightly brought up, tying it as inherent within nature, to another where Juna fights bacteria within her boyfriend's stomach, Arjuna casted quite a wide net to deliver its point, albeit sometimes brief. Entertainment values are plentiful by tapping into these lesser represented aspects creatively, as these smaller focuses tends to be something one would overlook, or even unaware that they are also parts of nature. While they provide for some interesting lenses for those who lack the deeper knowledge on these fields, the show did not pry into them excessively to the point of obscurity either. They merely sets the stage for Juna to achieve greater emotional connection with the Earth in an episodic manner. Yet at the same time, we are subjected into experiencing something fresher than your usual go green propaganda. I am not an environmentalist by any extent. In fact, I'm not at all an advocator or one who puts a lot of thought in the subject, so I apologize if I sounded like one in this video. Let it be known though, the original script was way more at your face than this. I know it is easy to fall into depress, realizing that if the international superpowers are not making their moves, whatever we do will not amount to anything substantial enough. But that doesn't excuse us from worsening the situation along. Can't beat them, join them will be a terrible conclusion one could rest upon when it comes to this. I have the common sense to not be wasteful or harmful when unnecessary. That's how I go about with my life. But Arjuna has reignited something I have forgotten in these busy, complicated times of my life. Not gonna humor the idea we should be all primal again, or immediately employ drastic changes in our lives. After all, people are going to live as they like. But I think among the busy days, we should be reminded occasionally to reflect upon it and keep ourselves in check with the messages Arjuna and the couple have wonderfully brought us. With that, I urge you to give Earth Maiden Arjuna a chance. Now, Arjuna. Hey, thank you for watching. If the video has provided you at least some entertainment, I humbly ask you to subscribe to the channel. There's also a little teaser at the end here to give you an idea what the next one is about. This is part of a series of videos that I've spent over a year to prepare for a chance to kickstart a venture here on YouTube, which you can check out the rest in my channel right now. The matter is, a show this old and unpopular is not going to gain the favor of the algorithm. So if you could share the video around the internet, I'll be very grateful for the help. Appreciate it in advance. Come on, it's by Kawamori Shoji and scored by Kano Yoko herself. The show is definitely worthy for more attention. You may also find me on Twitter at moonanime9. That's it for now, and I'll see you from the moon. 次回 on Moon Anime。
俺のこの手が光ってうなる。師匠の名を借りるお前を倒せと輝き叫ぶ。